Hi there, my name is Shane O'Brien McDonald, and this is bonus episode number 13 for Japan in 100 Dishes and our special series on how to read a Japanese menu. And today, and this is the complement to the episode on soba noodles for breakfast. And what today I would like to look at is a restaurant called Soba-ichi, which was in the train station where I used to live in Japan. Now, as I've zoomed out into the map here, again, I'm just using Google Maps as a reference because this place it doesn't have an online presence. So this is one thing about a lot of places in Japan. They still don't have they haven't computerized everything in a lot of the cheaper places. Now, if we go in here, we China, we got Korea, and this is Japan. We're going into the Tokyo area here. And as you can see, we're going into Greater Tokyo. Yokohama is the suburb 20 minutes away. And this is in a part of central Tokyo called Ebisu. I used to live there, and this is one of the more affordable options in the area for soba noodles. Now, as I zoom in here, you'll see that it is a mess. It is a map of spaghetti. This is why I try to give people some idea of options, if you're in the Tokyo area. Now, what you need to know, this is the train station. Now, everything in Japan is set up, especially in places like Tokyo and Osaka, around the train station. And what happens is that the companies that own the train line set up, first of all, they don't usually make that much of a profit selling the tickets for the trains. What they do make profit off is owning the real estate. So this is a central Tokyo area. The Japan Railways, the East, that's JR East, owns the station property. And on that property, they have a mall called the Ebisuminami. Again, it sounds hard to pronounce. It is. I don't know where they came up with it. It's Art Ray. Is basically how they, as you can see here, Art Ray, Ebis. I don't know. It's maybe it's some sort of French word. But what it means is that they make their profit renting out the space to all the people coming in here every morning and leaving every evening and going by it. It's a huge passenger hub. All these stations on the Yamanote line, they're a huge passenger hub with lots of people going through every day. And Soba-ichi is an example of how the Japan Railway Corporation of Eastern Japan makes money. You're paying the least amount of money you can to travel by there if you have to go to work, but then they rent it out to a proprietor called Soba-ichi. And this is basically, I think Soba-ichi is actually owned by the Japan Railway Corporation. And this is the way these companies make money. They also own a hamburger chain called Becker's and a couple other things. But the money is really in renting it out to places selling women's clothing or a bookstore or the Starbucks. And because they own that in a very valuable area, they can charge very high rents. Because what happens in Japan is that the most number of people are in this station. Every minute you go further from free, they distribute further and further. And most people, unless they live in an area, will not walk more than 5 or 6 or more than 10 minutes away from the station. So you can see that's why the real estate is very valuable. This area here, you should know, this is the gate to get in from the east exit. So there's a stairwell here, and there's a mall here with all kinds of wonderful things. There's a grocery store, there's banking machines. However, to access Soba-ichi, you have to actually pay your fare, go inside, or be inside already. So please keep in mind, you're not going to visit this place unless you're actually taking the Yamanote line and the Shorin-shinjuku or the Saikyo line. That said, it does offer a glimpse into these train stations. All kinds of stations have these. This is the Ebisu one. There's also many, I think in Tokyo, Shinagawa, Shinjuku Station, Ikebukuro, where they have restaurants inside the station. You're not going to go to them unless you're actually traveling, but if you're in a rush and you only have a few minutes and you don't want to search for something, this is where places like this are very important. One thing you should know, and I'm just going to go through some photos that are on Google Maps here because this is the easiest way to explain it. One of the things, I'm from Canada, so one of the things that actually shocked me the most is that when you go into any kind of business in Canada or a house, the doors are either you pull them open physically or they open automatically for you. And then some of them may have a button for handicapped people way on the side here, right? But you'll still be able to open the door yourself. That's the idea. This is just to help people in a wheelchair. In Japan, this does not exist. They do have doors that open automatically, but they're very rare. Instead, they have this button right here. See that? That's the button you have to press to open the door. And there are a lot of sliding doors in Japan. In some places, the manual doors, they'll just have a little slot for your hand. I didn't know that. I actually stood in front of a sushi restaurant in Shibuya for like 30 seconds till some poor Japanese person saw the white person like flummoxed by the door and pressed it. He probably thought I was from some country where we didn't have electricity or something. But this is something Japanese people do not understand. In the Western North American world, at least, everything opens automatically for you. Not so in Japan. This is a very strange thing. I guess it's to save, I don't know what it's for, to be honest. I guess in crowded areas, the doors open too much, so that's why they have these buttons. But this is the opening to the store, and it has the hours 7 to 20 to 10:30 again, and less on the weekend. Again, this is basically because that's when the train lines are open. Most trains you're gonna have to leave before midnight. They do open as early as 5, like trains will be running as early as 5 o'clock or as late as 10 or 12 o'clock. And they also have a display of foods outside. So if you're in a rush and you're running by, you'll know, hey, look, soba noodles, all these things with tempura, tofu, other tempura, or even some of these have them with, basically this is a croquette. So you'll know immediately what you're getting. You can even get plates of soba like here, or even more of a ramen style thing going on here. This, like whoever took the photo, you can see it's a very narrow space here. This is from the store. The entire store is probably no more than like 3 or 4 meters in wide. So it's for, you see here, a single Japanese men, salarymen in a rush. This is what you see. This is what you see in the summertime, like the cold noodles and a salad, with a dipping sauce basically, and a glass of water. They also have, like, this is the kakeage. This is chrysanthemum kakeage. It's basically a tempura chrysanthemum leaf. It's not that popular, and it comes with like a little, this is like a pickle and some chopped green onions here with some soup and noodles. Not the most popular dish, but then you also get curry here apparently, so that's going to be easy to eat. It's just curry and rice. This is, ooh, what is this? This is the gobo root. It's kind of a tough vegetable, but it's hearty. That's been deep fried. Burdock, basically. And these are the cold soba noodles. They come with some tofu and a tofu. This is basically a slice of folded deep fried tofu and a deep fried croquette, potato croquette most likely. And this is a soup you can dip your soba in. And this is interesting because what's good about JR, they put everything in different languages. So they do have an English menu, Chinese menu, and Korean. I have 2 kinds of Chinese, so the Guangzhou and the regular one. So simplified. And you can go through and they have basically the main dishes. So this is like the cold soba, and they also have the one with pork and the one that's in a broth. And different delights as well, things you can add to it, and smaller dishes you can add. They even have like a little thing that says, why don't you try our smaller dishes? Now you may be asking, well, Shane, if this is in English, why do I need to know from you? Well, this is the key thing that you need to know, is that this is a self-service venue, meaning you basically push the button here, and then right here is where you have to put your cash in, and they actually have a thing for change as well. Now you can put a $20 bill or a 2,000 yen note in, and if it's only $7, you get your change down here. And you'll also get a ticket, and then you take the ticket and you give that to the person at the counter, so you don't have any communication. You do not have to tip, which is a big thing. And most importantly, with this machine, because it is in a JR station, a railway station, you can use your cash card, your Suica card, or Passmo, as I believe is another popular one from the Tokyo Metro. The Suica card, Suica means watermelon in Japanese, and it's just a pad here, and it's the same card you use to get into the train station to pay your fare. So you can buy a ticket with the vending machine outside, or you can use a card, and you can use your card on this, and that's very, very fast. And then of course, well, what if I tried to steal? There's a security camera there, but it is, and they will give you change. So it's a very, very efficient way if you're in a rush. These noodles are they probably have pots of them ready to go, and as you can see, like, this is very typical. The whole area is very, very, very small, and it's in the middle of the station. You'd almost miss it. Very good for getting, if you're on the run and you need to get a full hearty meal, and for something affordable like $6-7, this is the place to go. So until next time, sayonara.